In Hollywood, nothing is random. Not the dinners, not the run-ins, not even the vague Instagram story reposts. And in early March 2024, there was one dinner in Brentwood that looked like nothing until it wasn't. Reese Witherspoon, Nicole Kidman, and Sydney Sweeney sat around a candlelit table. No press, no tagged posts, just a grainy snap from a casting assistant's private story. 3 women, 3 smiles. But Sydney's expression gave her away. Nervous, grateful, like she understood she'd been invited into a room she wasn't meant to reach this soon. What she didn't realize, this wasn't a pitched dinner. It was a warning. Just 2 days earlier, Reese had taken a call, not from a friend or a producer, but from a brand partner. The message was blunt. Blake's people are circling Sydney. It's moving fast. That was all. Reese didn't panic. She called Nicole. They'd seen this play before. Blake lively attaching herself to younger actresses, building a polished narrative of sisterhood, then gradually pulling the spotlight back to herself. Sometimes it fizzled. But when it didn't, the younger actress always faded first. So, when Sydney showed up at that table, she thought she was stepping into an opportunity. In reality, she was being shielded from one. Reese didn't explain everything. She simply told her, if Blake's team reaches out, smile, be polite, then forward it to me. Industry whispers suggested Reese and Nicole were already exploring a project with Sydney before Blake's sudden interest. To them, this smelled like a preemptive strike, and sure enough, within 72 hours of the dinner, the first move arrived. Not from Blake directly, not even from her agent. It came from a streaming development executive, in an email that was equal parts casual and calculated. Attached was a glossy pitch deck for a limited series. Dual female leads. Blake front and center. Sydney listed as co-star. No mention of Reese. No mention of Nicole. The materials were already in circulation before Sydney had even heard of it. When she opened the email alongside Reese, her text arrived instantly. I didn't sign anything. I don't even know what this is. The playbook was in motion. And Reese knew exactly what it meant. Reese didn't answer Sydney's text. She didn't need to. She already knew what this was. It was the exact same play Blake had run in 2022. Attach yourself early, build the optics before the ink is dry, then sort the paperwork later. Within days, Blake's name began surfacing in internal memos. Sydney's didn't. Soon after, quiet leaks appeared in the press. Unnamed sources, marveling at how quickly Blake had pulled a project together. It was all spin. The reality? 2 weeks prior, the series hadn't even been a conversation. Sydney tried Nicole, but Nicole didn't pick up. Not because she was avoiding her, but because she was already on the line with Reese. According to one producer, the conversation was simple. She won this round. But we control the next 90 days, because in Hollywood, everything moves in quarters. Press cycles, development slates, awards calendars. If Blake wanted the narrative now, Reese and Nicole would let her have it, for just long enough to yank the floor out later. There was no denial, no counterstatement. Instead, 3 days after Blake's leak, something shifted. A variety panel Nicole had been scheduled for, alongside Reese and 2 unnamed female creators, was suddenly, quietly rescheduled. The page vanished from Variety's site before most even noticed. Insiders did. That same afternoon, Sydney's team went silent. No confirmations, no denials, no replies. She'd been pulled from circulation, Hollywood's way of saying, don't move, don't speak, don't give them a headline. Nicole had given her one piece of advice, let her think she's won. Meanwhile, Reese was moving differently. An internal memo rippled quietly through 3 agencies. To outsiders, it looked like retreat. Inside, it was Reese walling off her assets, setting the board for what came next. If Blake wanted to drive the narrative, Reese and Nicole would control the fallout. Sources whispered Reese had already pulled 3 scheduled meetings connected to Blake's new project. Silence wasn't surrender, it was strategy. And while Reese plotted, Blake celebrated. A staged brunch pap shot. A carousel post about powerful women uplifting one another. A caption carefully designed for headlines. Nothing moves faster than women who support women. Nicole saw it. Reese saw it. Neither engaged. But someone in their circle screenshot it and sent it to Variety. Subject line, flag this for next quarter. For 3 days, Blake was everywhere. PR walkthroughs, style teasers, whispers of a prestige project with a Gen Z star. But something felt off. Her final post sealed it. A behind-the-scenes carousel. Soft curls, perfect lighting, dreamy caption. Crafting stories. The story she was crafting, though, wasn't the one she thought. Blake Lively's latest promo, normally guaranteed to pull 20,000 reposts and industry buzz, landed flat. No stylist reshares, no tags from Sydney, no quiet likes from Reese or Nicole, and even neutral outlets stayed silent, a signal insiders read as deliberate. Within hours, a Slack leak from one of Blake's fashion partners surfaced, followed by a longtime stylist deleting past shoots and captions about women protecting women, erasing her tags without explanation, a move that felt very Reese. Coded. Blake's team noticed and sought reassurance, but instead got leaked receipts, including one email bluntly stating, "We support women, but not all women support each other." Yet Blake didn't panic, chalking it up to bad timing and doubling down with a cinematic slow-motion post captioned, "It's not about the noise. It's about the work," only for comments to flip the narrative. Where's the co-star? The trailer, Reese? And at that same moment, Nicole Kidman was quietly in a closed-door Apple TV Plus pitch with Reese and a rising indie actress, presenting a concept nearly identical to the one Blake had tried to co-opt. No paparazzi, no staged optics, just the real project shifting forward without her. This time, the script carried Nicole Kidman's name as executive producer, with Reese Witherspoon's company already listed in the back-end notes. It wasn't Blake's project anymore. It was a replacement, and Apple loved it. Within 24 hours, the concept quietly appeared on Apple's Q3 preview slate. No press release, no announcement, just a title added to an internal schedule. But someone leaked the screenshot. Insiders immediately started connecting dots. Wasn't this the same pitch Blake had been floating just a week earlier? Only now, her name was nowhere in sight. Even Variety began circling the story. Blake's team reached out to Apple, no response. They tried calling the stylist she'd worked with during her Savannah shoot, the same one who had just styled Nicole. No answer. It wasn't that the industry had turned against Blake. It had simply moved forward without her. She wasn't cut. She'd never been included. The first visible crack came via a single Instagram story. No caption, just a blurry bookshelf photo. On the third shelf, far right corner, sat a script. The title had been blacked out, but 2 names remained, Nicole Kidman and Sydney Sweeney. The post wasn't from Sydney. It came from a costume designer who deleted it after 45 minutes. But by then, the screenshot was everywhere. Nicole plus Sydney. New script citing. Blake's not in this. Film Twitter erupted. Within hours, someone resurfaced an old, unverified pitch deck from 2023 that looked eerily similar. Except back then Reese was listed as producer, Nicole as co-lead, and Sydney wasn't attached at all. That meant this was new. A rewrite. A replacement. And Blake had no part in it. Her team scrambled to manage the fallout. A carefully worded press email went out to 3 industry reporters, packed with bullet points. Blake remains committed to female-led stories. She's prioritizing creative direction over visibility. She and Sydney are dear friends. No rift. Nothing confirmed. Everything's evolving. Only one reporter replied, and the response was cutting. Appreciate the notes, but this isn't a damage control piece. It's just not Blake's moment anymore. Because in Hollywood, nothing confirmed, everything evolving wasn't reassurance. It was code. It meant the role's gone, the project's gone, and Blake was the last to know. Behind the scenes, Sydney stayed silent, no posts, no tweets, not even a follow for the show's new Instagram account. That was intentional. Nicole and Reese weren't chasing hype, they were containing it. Because in Hollywood, sometimes the loudest statement is saying nothing at all while the world fills in the blanks for you. By the end of March, the industry wasn't whispering about Blake anymore. They weren't defending her, they weren't criticizing her. They simply weren't mentioning her at all. A red carpet came and went. Blake arrived flawless, styled perfectly, smiling hard, but she didn't trend. Photos circulated quietly, stylists didn't repost, and even official accounts skipped tagging her. Meanwhile, Nicole's team posted a single still from her new project. One woman seated on a porch, another standing in the doorway. No names, no hashtags, yet fans instantly recognized Sydney. That single image generated more buzz than Blake's entire rollout. Strategic silence at its sharpest. Blake's team scrambled, floating a rumor she was circling a novel adaptation as director. But Variety didn't run it. Deadline passed. Only one minor blog picked it up, buried between ads. Meanwhile, Reese was spotted at an Apple TV Plus pitch brunch, not as talent but as a shadow executive, a title that hadn't even existed 6 months earlier, now signaling her shift from star to architect. Nicole, as always, said nothing. But at a USC panel on mentorship, when asked about guiding younger talent, she paused before delivering a line that made the room go still. Sometimes you don't push someone forward. You just move out of the way and clear the room. No names, no drama, just a quote that said everything. That was about Blake. Nicole had made space for Sydney, then closed the door behind her. Blake wasn't pushed out. She was outgrown. No headlines, no scandal, just a new room, and she wasn't in IT. By the second week of April, the silence was undeniable. Blake hadn't posted in 5 days. No promos, no behind-the-scenes content, not even the filler motivational quotes she'd leaned on before. Nothing. And the most telling detail? Nobody asked why. Not one outlet reached out. Not a single TikTok speculated. Not one blind item suggested she'd been wronged. Because the truth was already obvious. Everyone knew. And worse, everyone had already moved on. Blake had been erased without a sound. Blake Lively didn't get cancelled. She got replaced, slowly and elegantly, like a power outage you only notice once the screen goes dark. One of her longtime PR allies, known for planting flattering profiles, was asked on a podcast what happened. He hesitated, then said, "She built an image. But you can't build something around yourself and then try to control the weather." The clip went viral, and suddenly Blake wasn't the main character anymore. She was a cautionary case study. Meanwhile, Sydney Sweeney quietly appeared in a campaign she never promoted, just a behind-the-scenes shot in someone else's story. Her name wasn't even tagged, yet the image spread everywhere. Sydney had survived the whole thing without a word, and still walked away with the role, the script, and Nicole Kidman's approval. Nicole, meanwhile, was spotted at a quiet dinner with A24's head of casting, the same energy she'd had in her first meeting with Sydney a month earlier. The circle was complete. Reese had stepped into shadow leadership, Nicole was building the new, Sydney was inside it, and Blake was left out of the next conversation. Not by drama, not by cancellation, but by silence. On April 14, 2024, Apple TV Plus quietly uploaded a new series announcement, Inheritance, created by Reese Witherspoon, starring Nicole Kidman and Sydney Sweeney. No teaser, no countdown, just a press site update, and it trended within minutes. The teaser was spare. A dusty farmhouse, a woman walking barefoot, a piano key breaking mid-note, Nicole's voice saying, "Some legacies don't get handed down. You have to take them back." Reese's name appeared third in the credits. Blake's appeared nowhere. Not in the pitch deck, not in the articles, not even in casting archives. She hadn't been erased with force. She'd been omitted entirely. On April 21st, Apple dropped the official trailer. Full rollout, title card, equal billing for Nicole and Sydney, a female-led writing team, Reese as executive producer. The caption, "What's inherited isn't always wanted." Once again, no mention of Blake. That night, she posted a captionless selfie. Fans left hearts, some asked if she was okay, but the industry stayed silent. A week later, Inheritance premiered privately for critics. Its closing line hit like a knife. "It's not missing. It just doesn't belong here anymore." Everyone knew who it was about, and she wasn't even in the show.